What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 22 for my team career mode, season 1, round number 9, the Canadian Grand Prix. We are now at the halfway point, and that of course means contract negotiations. We're going to negotiate to get Liam Lawson back in our seat again, keep him at the team. We went for the medium risk option because I'm a little short on money with everything in this early part of the game, and he does accept that offer, so I don't think the amount we were paying him changes. I think it stays at 1.5 million. We do have a bit of extra money now though, now that we've done that, and we're going to put the build time upgrade on powertrain because at the moment I really want to just get ERS going good. I think if we can get ERS looking good and performing well, we will have a decent car soon enough. And we actually have a little bit of a livery change going into this second half of the season. Just wanted to mix it up. I think this livery actually looks really cool. I really like the look of this one, so we're going to continue with this for the rest of the season. Looking at R&D, we make a little bit of an improvement going into this next race in Canada at the halfway point, closing up to AlphaTauri there, so that's good. But Williams still improving as well, and Aston Martin still a decent way ahead of us. So I think at the moment our main rivals are Williams and AlphaTauri, mainly Tsunoda, because Gasly just seems to be way quicker than that AlphaTauri really should be. So Tsunoda, Albon, and Latifi, and I guess kind of Stroll as well, because Stroll isn't getting as much out of that Aston Martin than Vettel is, so I think we'll still be battling with Stroll and maybe Zhou Guanyu, because he seems to be a fair way off the pace of that Alfa Romeo, at least from what Bottas can get from it. But yeah, Canadian Grand Prix. I love this track. I've said it before in the previous game. I think I won. Did I win twice here in F1 2021? I think I did. So it's one of my favorite tracks. Just such a fun flowing track, and I really enjoy it. Once again though, don't know how this is going to go for our car, because there are a couple of rather long straights here, and yeah, it's not where our car shines. And sure enough, we don't get through to Q2, and it's another pretty poor qualifying session. Not quite as bad as dead last in Baku last time out, but it is P21 for us, and we get beaten by our teammate once again. So Liam Lawson doing a decent enough job here. We're just not performing well in our car at the moment. Let's see what we can do here.
Hello and welcome to the Ile Notre Dame once again for what promises to be another incredible Canadian Grand Prix at this fiercely competitive circuit, where pole position can often be decided by less than a tenth of a second. We'll be seeing top speeds of around 210 miles per hour here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, with around 2/3 of the lap taken at full throttle. High-speed chicanes spell potential danger, especially at the infamous Wall of Champions, and watch out for overtaking into the hairpin and that final chicane. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Hamilton, Sergio Perez, and Russell, Bottas, Norris, Ricciardo, and Kevin Magnussen, Fernando Alonso, Mick Schumacher, Sebastian Vettel, and Joe, Gasly, Albon, Lance Stroll, and Liam Lawson, Shaw, Ocon, Tsunoda, and Nicholas Latifi. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Alright, so slight boost up the order. We ended up starting P19 because of grid penalties for Ocon and Tsunoda. So, yeah, P19 for us. Our teammate still right ahead of us, P18. And yeah, as you can see, change of car. I think this new car looks amazing. I really like the look of it. I'm honestly almost tempted to bring this one into Season 2. And also a change to the driver overalls as well that you would have seen in the grid lineup. So yeah, just a bit of a change for the team. Things looking good, hoping for a better second half of this season as we go to 5 red lights for the Canadian Grand Prix. Lights are on for a long time, and then we are underway, and it is a decent enough initial start for us, and we've actually got a better start than our teammates as we go into turn 1. We're going to just keep on the inside of him. Don't want to cause him any issues, of course. But we're actually then going to look around the outside of Alex Albon through turn 2. We get a little bit of a tank slapper on the rear, and that now brings us back into the clutches of our teammate. But I'm just going to go quite defensive into this corner because last thing I want is for my teammate to get past me here. There's a lot of battling going on up ahead. That looks like Gasly and Zhou Guanyu having a battle as my teammate looks up the inside into this next corner, but we're going to make sure we are there on the inside to make a dive bomb on Alexander Albon, and we've just about managed to get that move stick, so it's a decent start for us. 2 positions made off the start already. So we just got to keep things going here. P17, we've got Lance Stroll ahead of us, and he's had a better qualifying here, but he's still not as quick as his teammate. As now though, into the hairpin, Albon looking for a move up the inside. We end up going quite wide, getting caught out by Stroll up ahead, but that gives us a better run onto this back straight, and yeah, hopefully we can try now and pull away from Albon because we've got a pretty decent gap to him now, just him getting caught out a bit more than us in that hairpin. As I think that is still Gasly and Zhou Guanyu going too wide up ahead. They're having a great little battle here, and this is helping us out. My teammate is into the pits. It has not been a good start for him. He's obviously picked up a little bit of damage somewhere on this first lap, so that is pretty much race over for Lawson. He's going to be way down the back of the pack, and I'm really struggling around turn 2. Just the rear end is really hard to keep in control. This is a section here that I am very quick at. That right left corner of kind of, I guess you call it turn 3, turn 4, maybe turn 5, I don't know. I can carry a lot more speed than the AI through that corner. But then we have the straight here, which once again, I just lose time on the straights. There is a good old battle going on at the moment. I don't think it is Hamilton and Verstappen, it's Hamilton and Perez. As yeah, you can see there the 2 Ferraris with Verstappen behind. Hamilton has lost a position to Perez at the start, but he's now going to make that move stick again round the outside of the hairpin. A beautiful move from the 7-time world champion there to get past Sergio Perez in that Red Bull, and now he's going to be under threat from George Russell. As up ahead of us, Lance Stroll, his engine goes up in smoke. That is not good for him. He was doing a decent enough job so far in his home Grand Prix, but he will be retiring from his home Grand Prix. Not good for the Canadian in the Canadian Grand Prix. As now we have a look at George Russell looking at a move on Perez. Perez goes deep into the hairpin. That lets Russell slide up the inside as he then gets caught out though by the yellow flags with Stroll being up at the side of the road there. But now with DRS, Russell is going to try and see what he can do round the outside. He's going to go to the inside as they go into the chicane for the Wall of Champions. It's side by side, Red Bull and Mercedes. Perez gets caught up over the curb and Russell makes the move stick. He is now up into P5, I believe that is, and now Perez coming under threat from Lando Norris in the McLaren. You've also got Ricciardo, Bottas, a lot of cars there all squabbling. Vettel is also in the mix there. Lots going on, big battles going on so far in this race, and Perez is just falling down the order here. He gets dive bombed by Valtteri Bottas, who makes the move stick in the Alfa Romeo, but I think, yes, Perez has managed to just about get back past, but now Bottas is going to try and go round the outside through turn 1. He's got the inside for turn 2. It's too wide for them. It's too wide between Ricciardo and Vettel behind as well. Look at these amazing, there is just some amazing battles going on right now, and it's still 2 by 2 for Vettel and Ricciardo as they go through that fast section, but Ricciardo just about manages to stay ahead. Vettel going to have a look though, big dive bomb up the inside of the next corner. This is some exquisite racing. Look at how much these guys are backing up the field. There are just cars everywhere. Perez is managing to get a bit of a gap now, but he has been overtaken by Bottas. But look at all these cars. There's now a Haas in the mix, both Haases in the mix here. Vettel just about staying ahead of Ricciardo at the moment, but Ricciardo with a bit of a better run off the corner, but now he has got Magnussen up the outside of him, and they're going to go, but now Ricciardo turns defensive to attack, back on Vettel again into the hairpin. It is an amazing battle going on, and that's all happening just ahead of us. We've caught up to Zhou Guanyu. We've got a decent enough gap. We're pulling a gap on Albon behind, which is good. He's just out of DRS zone at this point in time, and we now, after a very shaky moment from Zhou Guanyu there, we managed to make the move on the Chinese driver, and we're up now into P15, and this massive train ahead of us is that big old group that was squabbling earlier on. Well, they're still squabbling now. They've just about started to kind of, make gaps from each other, but Schumacher trying to make a move on Alonso. We get caught up behind Gasly, but he gets it wrong on the curb. We managed to get to the inside. We're now on the inside of him going into turn 1 here, on the inside of Pierre Gasly. We tried to fight him for the last point position in Baku last time out, but we couldn't quite do it. Round the outside of turn 2, turn 3, whatever you want to call it, and we're just about going to go defensive into the next corner. As I said, I'm quite quick through that corner. So we managed to make that move. This time, unlike Baku, we get ahead of Pierre Gasly. And now Alonso is also looking a little bit slow up ahead in the Alpine. We went quite deep into that first corner, got a better run off the corner, and with DRS, even though we both have DRS and our straight line speed should be pretty poor, we're going to dump a lot of ERS here and going to go for a move. It's going to be too wide through the chicane there, but we just about hold on and manage to get the position on Fernando Alonso, who is now coming under threat from Pierre Gasly. But now Alonso going for a move on us. Gasly hits the back of us, breaks a bit of his front wing, so he's now going to have to come in for a pit stop. That is very unfortunate for the Frenchman. And that's now going to leave Alonso, it's going to leave me very vulnerable and pretty much let Alonso go for the move up the inside. I don't fight it too much because I really can't be fighting with an Alpine. They are quite a bit quicker than us, so I'm just going to try and stay as close to him as I can. But next lap round, I think we are into the pits anyway for our one stop on to hard compound tyres. So yeah, got to see what we can do on this compound, because on the mediums, I was feeling pretty good. I was actually feeling pretty good on those mediums, and we've actually managed to jump Alonso in the pits. It's a great pit stop from the Mazda team, and we jump Alonso. We're back ahead of him once again, but of course now we're both on cold tyres, but the AI a little bit better on the cold tyres compared to players, or at least me. And of course that Alpine a quicker car anyway. He's going for a move around the outside into the hairpin. We're going to try and keep it, and it was probably a mistake from me because, if I let him go early enough, we could have had the DRS on him and maybe got him back. But as it turns out, with trying to fight that position, Alonso gets the DRS and he just absolutely flies ahead of us. And yeah, we're now just going to try and stick with him as good as we can. But now Mick Schumacher comes out of the pits alongside Fernando Alonso. He's gone one lap longer than we did, and now he's going to be quite slow on those cold hard tyres, and we're actually going to go and try and make a move, but he kind of sits his car in the most awkward position. But we're going to go for a big dive bomb into this next corner, and he goes wide. He locks up a little bit on those cold tyres. We managed to get the position though, and I mean, we didn't force him off the track. He just, on cold tyres, locked up a little bit, went wide, and yeah, that gives us the position. But Schumacher is going to fight back, of course, because he's in a much quicker car, and he's actually going for the outside of turn 1. We just about defend from him, but then we go very wide in turn 2, get the rear end stepping out, and we're going to now have to go defensive into this next corner here. And although I'm quick through this corner, when I have to go so defensive, I'm not quite as quick, of course. And we're just gonna at the moment just try and keep Schumacher behind, but with the DRS zone coming up and with his tyres now up to temperature, we've also lost a lot of time from Alonso, nowhere near having DRS from him. Schumacher goes for a move on the inside, and we're not going to fight that too much, but we're going to make him take a compromise line, and he gets caught up all over the curbs there, and we managed to get the switchback move back on the German. He is now coming under pressure from Zhou Guanyu, but Schumacher now going for a move round the outside of the hairpin. Guanyu right there as well, and I believe that is Ocon just behind as well. Of course, he started towards the back of the grid because of a grid penalty, and he's not been able to make his way through the order as well as he would have hoped. But now Schumacher going for a big move up the inside, coming into the Wall of Champions chicane. We try and get a better exit, but he hit a detection point before us and gets the DRS. Now Zhou Guanyu going for a dive bomb into turn 1, but he locks up, and we managed to just about bang the side pod of his car, but hopefully that's no damage for us, hopefully no damage for him either. But now it's going to be too wide through this very fast section here. We are quick through here, and even with 2x2 on the outside, we managed to keep the position from Zhou Guanyu, and this is a battle that could be brewing right now with Ocon also there in the background, and I think you've also got Alexander Albon. We go defensive to the inside as he comes around the outside once again into turn 1. We're just going to keep our nose in there, and then we're going to have to try and keep it round the outside. Like I said, I struggle a lot with that round the outside right hand corner, but this time around we managed to get the power down well, keep the back end in check, and stay ahead of Zhou Guanyu. So I think this is the battle that we're going to be having for the rest of this race. At the front of the grid, Carlos Sainz still leading from pole position from his teammate, so coming under pressure, of course, from Leclerc, but Leclerc has looked the quicker driver in this kind of, in the last few races. Of course, Sainz had a very dominant start to the season, but Leclerc has, after having a pretty poor start of the season, in that kind of second quarter, I guess you could call it, he's kind of come alive a little bit, but Sainz managing to keep the pressure, keep up the pressure, and stay ahead of his teammate. Zhou Guanyu goes for a big dive up the inside into turn 1. This time around we squeezed him to the inside, but it was fair racing. I think that was fair enough, but he just was way too hot. As we look at a replay here, you can see I squeezed him to the inside, but I've still left him enough room. He goes a bit too kamikaze, and I don't think he locked up. He just went far too quickly into that corner, braked too late, and that is gonna definitely cost him in this race. But now though, with him, with not having the kind of the buffer of Zhou Guanyu, Ocon can then get past us fairly easily, and that's one that I'm not really going to fight. I'm just going to try and stay as close to him as I can for the rest of this race. A few laps of not a whole lot happening, just looking once again at Sebastian Vettel, who of course in real life, I didn't mention it in the last video, but has announced his retirement in real life from Formula 1, so that is very sad that we're not going to have him on the grid for 2023 and beyond. But in this career mode, he's still going strong and is just about, I think he's sitting in P10 right now, so he's only just on the edge of points. So that's good for us, because I'm hoping towards the end of the season maybe we can catch up into that midfield, and still potentially hoping, providing they don't score too many points towards, in the next few races, maybe we can catch up to Aston Martin later on in the season. But for now, that's kind of out of our ballpark, because we are not going to be scoring points today. We're currently seeing P15. Surprisingly, I'm actually managing to stay within DRS of Ocon, so I've got the speed through the corners, and on the straights I'm actually not doing too bad. ERS deployment isn't terrible at the moment, and I'm managing to stay with Ocon, and that's pulling us way clear of Alexander Albon. We've now got a big gap. I think it's like 5 seconds or something to Albon, so not going too bad. At the front of the race though, Carlos Sainz will actually extend the gap he had to Leclerc and quite convincingly win the Canadian Grand Prix. Leclerc comes home second. Max Verstappen though there in third. He's managed to stay with those guys. Pretty much the same gap between the top 3 drivers. Lando Norris had a great race here. He finishes P6 just behind the 2 Mercedes. That's a very good result from McLaren. It's a terrible result from Perez, who ends up finishing P8 behind the 2 Mercedes, behind Norris and behind Valtteri Bottas. We're going to come home P15. We actually managed to keep within DRS of Ocon, even on this final lap. So very, I think P15, not a great result, but all in all, I don't think it was a terrible race. There was a lot of battling going on. It was pretty fun. And I think it was a decent enough race for us. Yes, we're nowhere near points, but our car just isn't there at the moment, so let's hope we can get it better.
So another excellent win from Ferrari. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, tyre management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So, being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls, gentle on the tyres, That's where the race was won today.
Here come our winners now, a thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
So it's the same podium as last time out in Baku, but this time it is a 1-2 for Ferrari once again, but this time Sainz is the winning driver with Leclerc in second. Verstappen still ever consistent there in P3, definitely outdoing the Mercedes at the moment. It looked like Mercedes were starting to, get close to the Red Bulls, and I mean, of course, Hamilton won in Monaco, but yeah, it looks like still Ferrari definitely the quickest car. Red Bull, at least in the hands of Verstappen, managing to stay ahead of the Mercedes at the moment, but it's another poor race for Perez. I mean, it's not a DNF like last time, but P8 for him is not good. Our teammate Liam Lawson, P21, not a good race for him. He had to come in for damage on the first lap. We finished P15, but all in all, it was a decent enough race. Not a massive change in the Constructors' Championship, although Carlos Sainz now only 1 point, I think that is, behind his teammate, so still keeping Leclerc in check for the championship. Lando Norris moves up to P12, and that's really the only change there. And then the Constructors, still no changes here. Ferrari quite dominantly winning this one at the moment. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.